Good evening and welcome back to the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship powered by Grid Finder. It's the first event of 2025, so happy new year, and you join us halfway through the season for the second championship of esports that the 750 Motor Club has put on. It's round 4 and it's the Clio Sport Championship coming from Thruxton here on Assetto Corsa. We are using the Clio 197 model, so a slight departure from the real world championship where we also have the 182 models. There it was Peter O'Connor who was the champion aboard the 182 in the real world series, but Justin Griffiths was the top driver in the 197, finishing second in the championship. Neither of them here tonight, though it is the turn of our sim championship stars, and interestingly it's the only front wheel drive car that we're going to be driving all season long, so this could present a new challenge and maybe is an opportunity for some of the drivers to get on top of Jake Huet, who has very much been dominating proceedings so far this season. 9 wins to his name and 2 pole positions as well. So Jake Huet has been rather unstoppable, and as a result of that, he of course leads the championship by 24 points to reigning champion Trafford King, who in turn is a further 6 points ahead of Dave Martin, who's had a few podium finishes of late. Shay Brennan, the young 16-year-old who'll be taking part in the new Suzuki Swift Sport Challenge in 2025, just a further 6 points back in 4th position. And then only 1 point back is Jackson Carden, who is the only other driver to secure a pole position so far this season and has had 3 podium finishes to his name as well. Has challenged Jackson Carden, Jake Huet, I should say, for wins, particularly in the Porsche Calm All Porsche Trophy Challenge at Alton Park. That was the second meeting of the season, but there were some reliability issues with his equipment that rather prevented him from actually mounting a longer term challenge out there. Elsewhere in the championship, we have Callum Neve in 6th position, Rory Mallinson in 7th, Ash Hill, Ben Goodwin and Paul Forsyth that round out the top 10 in the standings going into this second half of the season. So far, we have had the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup represented at Anglesey. That was a complete clean sweep for Jake Huet with pole position and all 3 race wins, and proved to be a difficult start to the title defense for Trafford King, as well as he was caught up in incidents, but he did get his act together for the Calm All Porsche Trophy at Alton Park. So while again it was 3 wins for Jake Huet, Trafford King did manage to come away with 2 second places and a 3rd place finish as well. And then our most recent race was the F1000s at Silverstone. Again, a clean sweep for Jake Huet. Trafford King represented on the podium in all 3 races, as was Dave Martin, and that is what has hauled him up to 3rd position in the championship. He's had 5 podium finishes to his name now, in addition to 2 that he scored at Alton Park. So we're very much looking forward to getting underway here for the 4th round of the championship at the fastest circuit in the UK, Thruxton. And although the Clio Sport Championship did not race at Thruxton last year, there will be a few more of the 750 Motor Club series appearing at Thruxton later this year. On the 3rd and 4th of May, there will be guest appearances for the 116 Sprint and 116 Trophy. And then on the 5th and 6th of July, we will also have the 750 Formula and the BMW Car Club Racing will also be seeing action at Thruxton. But for now, we're waiting for qualifying to get underway for this 4th round of the championship. Of course, it has been 2 pole positions for Jake Huet, 1 for Jackson Carden so far. We thought, I think it was back in Alton Park, that Jake Huet had managed to do it, but it was a very last gasp effort from Jackson Carden. And although he sits 4th in the standings, his pace has rather been a bit more than what that result would suggest. Although we expected to see a little bit more of him in the F1000s than we ended up seeing. Got close to the podium on occasion, but was a bit more mired in the midfield pack. So let's see if he can pull something together. And as we mentioned, the only front-wheel drive car that we will be racing during this season. To come after this, we have the low cost at Brands Hatch Indy that's coming up in a week's time using the Caterham Academy car in Assetto Corsa. After that, we have the Radical Club Challenge at Donington Park on the national layout on the 21st of January. That's represented by the Radical SR3. And then to round things out, we have the 116 Trophy race at Croft on the 1st of February. That's not a Tuesday night as all the other races have been. That is a Saturday night in the BMW 125i. Now, we have been away, obviously, for the Christmas break. We do hope you all enjoyed the holidays, but there has been a little bit of news since we went away for the Christmas break. So let me just bring you up to speed. Quite a big one. If you are hoping to get your 750 Motor Club membership in for 2025, then the registration opens on the 27th of January. And race entries specifically are open on the 10th of February. So be sure to go to 750mc.co.uk for more of the details. And also head there as well to hear about the various race weekend test days that are available. All the details on the website. And you can also book for the pre-season track day at Donington Park, which is on the 9th of March. And there will be scrutineers on site as well as 750 Motor Club staff so that they can answer any of your pre-season queries. In addition to that, we have had some minor calendar revisions for Formula V, F1000, Type R Trophy, the Mighty Minis, and the Swift Sport Challenge. So if you're in any of those series, just make sure and you're caught up to date on those minor calendar revisions. Also, it has been announced that there will be some changes to the Club Enduro Championship as well, with changes to Class C to ensure that it remains a cost-effective entry point into multi-mark endurance racing. And for me, Club Enduro is the best bang for your buck racing you can get in the UK. So we're very eager to see what these changes can do. So it's tire width restrictions. There'll be new restrictions on suspension modifications so that no more than two-way adjustable dampers can be used. There'll also be new restrictions on brake modifications, so no more than 4 piston brake calipers. There's going to be various bodywork and aero development restrictions as well, and no sequential gearboxes unless they are fitted to a Ginetta machinery or an original Clio Cup car. So there are a couple of exceptions there because they come out the box, but largely no sequential gearboxes in Class C for next year. And it is also worth me reminding you about the Swift Sport Challenge, the 750 Motor Club's brand new entry-level formula with reduced cost. This really does take a whole new step in trying to reduce the entry costs of racing in an entry-level competition, with road-going cars, fewer test days, removing those costly data loggers as well. The team challenge as well that will allow drivers to share cars. There is a foundation program as well for fully built cars that are going to be sold with entry fees and registration costs at a discounted rate, as well as a novice supplement that'll include your ARDS test and a race kit package as well. So we cannot wait to see those Mark 1 1.6 litre Suzuki Swift Sports out there for the first time later this year in a full grid. They have had a few outings in some other series to get some testing under their belts, but a full grid of them is going to be hugely exciting to see. Yellow Speed Racing Kit suspension from Tekiwa on there as well. Absolute Alignment has joined as a technical partner, and they're getting a dedicated space in the paddock as well, so that they can supply competitors with the equipment and the guidance, crucially, as well, to run their own race cars. So if you're out there and you're running a race car for the first time, you don't quite know what you're doing, they're going to be on hand to supply you with the equipment and the information that you need. We're going to be racing on Davanti tires as well. The Pro Tour race tire, it's going to be a control tire for the championship, again in line with those aims to reduce the cost to be competitive. And there's going to be free giveaways of those tires throughout the season as well, a total of 20 to be won throughout the year. And of course, Shea Brennan, who is competing tonight, 4th in the championship, will be competing in that Swift Sport Challenge as well. So if you want to join them on the grid, then make sure you get your 750 Motor Club registration in, get those entry fees paid, and check out what is available for the series. Shouldn't be long now until we get underway for qualifying. Just a reminder that this is round 4 of the championship, the Clio 197. Which was introduced to the Clio Sport Championship a couple of years ago as the newer model to the 187. And there has been a lot of work done to balance the performance of the two cars, but we still have some absolutely fantastic racing between them. And it's just the 197 that'll be represented here tonight. Again, another car track combination that represents the 750 Motor Club's real world racing. So we've had various cars that are representing the real world championships, as we talked about earlier, the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup, the Calm All Porsche Trophy, and the F1000s as well. And to come, the low cost championship, the Radical Club Challenge, newly renamed for this year as well. Previously the Bike Sports series, but the new SR1 car will be available, and much more in line with the Radical themselves as well. And that SR1 is going to be in the same specification you see it in the Hagerty Radical Cup UK as well. So that is joining the SR3, the PR6, the Club Sport, and the Pro Sport models that are currently in use in that series. So on top of that, the SR1 in conjunction with Radical Motorsport as well. Very much excited to see them. And then, of course, this is the year where we're going to have the Mighty Minis as a full-on championship as well. Has been a guest series of late, but now they are joining 750 Motor Club's their organising club for its 30th year in competition. We're trackside. We've got 10 minutes of qualifying to come. There is the reigning champion, Trafford King, racing that Moser Racing R5 bundle that he won in the championship last year and was given as his prize at the 750 Motor Club prize giving ceremony back in February. And here you're going to see why we love Thruxton so much. What a high-speed circuit, the fastest circuit in the UK. And he's just heading up towards the fastest corner in the UK as well, Church Bend. And you'll see there's not an awful lot of margin for error out there as well. Maybe not quite as scary as tackling it in the real world, but certainly still a very ballsy corner indeed as the Type R trophy driver makes his way through the chicane. That's where track limits are being monitored throughout the night. And first time on the board is a 1:29.1, so there is a little bit of time to be found out there. He's already been demoted to second position. Okay, we had a clock on his outlap there, apparently. So we'll ignore that time as he makes his way round Noble and then into Goodwood. You see the car leaning from one side to the other. And, of course, seeing these Clios out in force does remind us of the old Clio Cup Championship that supported the British Touring Car Championship some years ago. I know some efforts have been put in place to revive that series. Of course, these cars also welcome in the Clio Sport Championship of the 750 Motor Club as well, as he brakes once again for the chicane. And so this should be the first flying lap time on the board. And I'm not entirely convinced that is 100% legal over the curbing, but we'll see later on. In fact, I think, yes, that time has already been deleted by the looks of it. So Trafford's got to keep it a little bit neater and a little bit tidier through the chicane. A bit like Callum Neve managed to do that. Oh, well, apparently not. I think that time just got deleted as well. So he starts another flying lap with a little bit of traffic into Allard. Have to round that up into Campbell. Well, he's backed out of that one, in fact. So less than 7 minutes left on the clock. Shea Brennan heads out onto the racetrack. A puff of smoke from the front tyres. See Dave Martin here, 9th position as it stands, but not really with a proper time on the board just yet. Five-time podium finisher throughout the season so far. Those have all come in the last 2 meetings of the season. And remember, this qualifying session will set the grid for all 3 races tonight. There are no reverse grids or grids set by the results of the previous race. The order in this qualifying session will determine all 3 grids tonight. As we can see the timing order so far, Trafford King a 1:18.692, more than 0.8 of a second ahead of Paul Forsyth, but we do have quite a few quick guys yet to come, and I think that was another lap time violation for Dave Martin there. And he ran very, very wide in the middle of that chicane anyway, so I think that's a lap time he's going to want to keep, in all honesty. Paul Forsyth has reduced the deficit to just under half a second. Jackson Carden about 9/10 back in 3rd position. Shea Brennan and Rory Mallinson inside the top 5. As you can hear the down changes braking for the chicane. Oh, Chris Humphrey getting a little bit wide on the exit of Church. Just about managed to gather it up. Rory Mallinson at risk of coming across quite a bit of traffic going into the chicane here. And well, that's that Chris Humphreys again going off to Emerald City by the looks of it, and into the tyre barriers as well. So that's at least one car that Rory Mallinson didn't have to usurp. Will have to usurp this car in front of him as he just further cements that 5th position. As I say that, Dave Martin goes up to 3rd, and about 3/4 of a second behind Trafford King. Alex Stockton now makes his way into the chicane, currently 10th fastest. And let's see if this time puts him slightly further up the order as he drives up towards the timing line. It is still 2.6 off, but finding speed out there as we're already about 3 minutes or so away from the checkered flag. And of course, one has to wonder, where is Jake Hewlett, our championship leader in all of this? And I'm told he's not even in the server. So this is could be a very important race for Trafford King to try and claw back some crucial points. If Jake ends up not racing, haven't seen anything in the build-up to tonight that he wouldn't be racing with us here tonight. Know that Mad Chip won't be able to race here tonight. I know someone in the YouTube live chat was just asking about that. But has been called out to a job by the looks of it. But yeah, not seen anything about Jake Hewlett not being here. But 2 minutes left on the clock, and it is currently Trafford King by half a second to this man Paul Forsyth, flying through Church Bend, that crisp white car. And hello to everyone in the YouTube live chat. By the way, do put your message in and be sure to show us your support. Oh, bit of bumping and barging as Paul Forsyth got into the back of the other white car. And that was Adam Woodvine, or Simwolf VR as he's known on the interwebs. So poor Adam did get spun round. And thank you, live chat room, for the update, because Alicia tells me that Jake's PC won't start. And so equipment letting the championship leader down by the looks of it. And, well, the time's already kind of run out for him to start a flying lap. So if he does manage to just jump in for the start of race number 1, we'll be starting from the very back of the grid. So this is, yeah, quite an upset. So less than a minute left on the clock. Jackson Carden has decided that he's not going to take any further part in this qualifying session. So it'll be no more than 4th for him. And we are pretty much guaranteed a new pole sitter now. And it looks like it's going to be Trafford King. That 1:18.692 that he said is still the benchmark. Unless Dave Martin here can try and find a little bit of time. No, he won't. He arrives backwards into the chicane, into the barriers as well, and just pushing that a little bit too hard on that last lap by the looks of it. So it will be no more than 3rd position for Dave Martin, but Paul Forsyth looks like he's going to have his best starting position. And the checkered flag is now out, and so it does look like it will be pole position for the reigning champion, Trafford King, in a bid to close down the 24-point lead of Jake Hewlett in the championship standings. Dave Martin in the pits, Jackson Carden in the pits, Shay Brennan in the pits as well. And Trafford King here still on another run, but has run a little bit deep into the chicane. Oh, looks like he hit the tyre stack there as well, as he lost the back end. And so definitely not going to be an improvement on this time. Let's see if Paul Forsyth can try and find that half second he needs to usurp Trafford King at the front of the field, although that is quite the ask. Heads up to the timing line now, and out of the way, I think, was Seymour Fiar there, and was not an improvement in the end. And so it is our 3rd pole sitter of the season then. Trafford King, the reigning champion for the first time this season. Of course, he was very much the benchmark of last season, taking, 10 consecutive wins on his way to the championship. Yes, it was 12 in total. And of course, Trafford King, or Jake Hewlett, I should say, was only 1 race away from matching that record. But it seems like he's had the most rotten bit of luck with some sort of hardware issue, by the sounds of it, that is stopping him from getting his equipment up and running. And hearing of murmurs about some sort of delay in order to get Jake into the session. But chat is telling me that the computer just won't turn on at all. And so if he doesn't start race 1, then we might still be able to get in for races 2 and 3. But that is a rotten bit of luck for the championship leader, who could well have his championship lead erased in tonight's event. Of course, only 24 points his lead, and it's 20 points for the win, which, given Trafford King's rather spectacular pace in qualifying, could very well be erased very, very quickly. But we'll see. Of course, an awful lot can happen at the start, and it is a very high-speed circuit, and a bit of a crunch point into the braking zone of Campbell and Cobb as well. And so we wait for the race 1 grid to be set, but the final order of qualifying was Trafford King taking his first pole position of the season, with Paul Forsyth bagging his best grid position of the season so far. regular podium finisher Dave Martin starts on the second row of the grid alongside Jackson Carden, only other driver to score a pole position other than Jake Hewlett until today. Callum Neve starting on the third row of the grid alongside Shea Brennan, and then Rory Mallinson and Mark Crawford on the fourth row of the grid. Andrew Cooper and Alex Stockton completing the top 10 with Ryan Turner, Jensen Swift, and Simwolf Vial, Adam Woodvine, completing the order. So while we wait for the grid to be set, I'll just give you another reminder about some of the news that has taken place while we've been off air. This isn't specifically news, but we were talking about Club Enduro and the changes there. There are also changes to the sister series, the sort of younger sibling, if you like, the Road Sports series, which is graduating to Motorsport UK approved championship status for 2025, and it's not going to cost you any more to enter as a result. But for now, let's look to the lights as we look to get race 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship powered by Grid Finder underway. It is a good start for Paul Forsyth from the front row of the grid, but an equally good one from the pole sitter Trafford King, who leads into Allard for the first time of asking. It is side by side between Jackson Carden and Dave Martin behind them. And Jackson Carden just getting the edge in that blue car into third position, going into Campbell for the first time of asking. And it looks like Rory Mallinson is the man on the move as he's up to fourth position from seventh, but still side by side with Dave Martin, who fought back on the inside of Seagrave. And that has allowed the top three to pull away ever so slightly as we get into the real business end of the lap. Round Noble and then into the right-hander of Goodwood. Mallinson running a little bit wide there, but tucking back in underneath the rear wing of Dave Martin as they head round Village and towards the fearlessly fast Church Bend for the first time of asking at racing speed. Trafford King starting to pull away from Paul Forsyth. He's built up 0.8 of a second, and he has got Jackson Carden for very close company as well. Here comes Shea Brennan as well on Rory Mallinson, who was going forwards earlier in the lap, now going backwards as Brennan breezes by down the Brooklyn straight. And it looks like Callum Neve fancied a run on the inside as well. Annoyingly, all of these cars are the same color, and so it's going to be quite difficult to try and pick them apart. But for now, it's Brennan 5th, Mallinson 6th, and Callum Neve in 7th. We look back from Rory Mallinson at Callum Neve, who's also got Mark Crawford for very close company as well. Andrew Cooper and Alex Stockton completing the top 10 there. Into Campbell once again through the left-hander at Cobb. This is probably the best overtaking opportunity on the racetrack. As you can see, the lead that Trafford King has been able to establish, 1.5 seconds nearly in just a lap and a bit of racing. Paul Forsyth and Jackson Carden, with Dave Martin now very, very close to the back of Jackson Carden as well. It looked like he was under pressure in the early stages of the opening lap, but he has rather gathered his composure and been able to get onto the back of that podium battle. Here's Andrew Cooper trying to get on the inside of Mark Crawford. It's Church Bend, very, very brave. Bangs into the side of Crawford's car. They both run wide, but it's definitely Crawford who came off worse. They nearly make contact again, trying to rejoin the circuit. And that looks like Cooper in the background there, just rejoining. But yeah, that was very, very awkward for the pair of them to try and get through that corner safely. Fastest lap of the race done by Dave Martin in 4th position, and he's now hot on the coattails of Jackson Carden for the last spot on the podium provisionally. Braking now for Campbell once again. I tell you what, he's bringing Shea Brennan with him as well, so this could very quickly become a 5-car battle, or maybe a 4-car battle for the podium at the very least. So back round Noble and Rory Mallinson and Callum Neve still very, very close together as well. So Callum Neve's taken that position away from Rory Mallinson somewhere on the previous lap by the looks of it. Mallinson really struggling to get it turned in to the right-hander of Goodwood, as was Callum Neve there just on the exit of the corner. Did very well to gather that one up, but he's lost all sorts of momentum. Meanwhile, for third position, it's absolutely neck and neck out of Church Corner. Dave Martin taking a little bit of the grass on the exit there. It doesn't seem to have cost him anything, though, as they're absolutely level pegging, braking for the chicane. It's going to be Dave Martin on the outside line, and that gained him just a few meters, but it wasn't enough to try and take the place. Shay Brennan coming now the outside onto the front straights with that clean momentum. Draws just the merest little overlap when they head into Allard. She's trying to go all the way around the outside. That'll give him the line into the next left-hander as well. And that is now fourth position for Shay Brennan. Wonderful opportunistic move there from the future Swift Sports Championship racer. And you see that's given Jackson Carden just a little bit of a reprieve. Been able to pull a couple of car lengths while Brennan and Martin were squabbling for fourth through the first couple of corners there. 10 minutes left to go. Andrew Cooper here in 11th position, trying to regain some of that ground that he lost with that overtaking attempt on Mark Crawford, who's the car directly in front of him. So we saw them have a swap up going through Church Bend. You see a much tighter line for Andrew Cooper in the white car going through Goodwood. And again, running very, very close through Church, or up towards Church. And look at that, sliding through the fastest corner in the country. Doesn't quite have momentum down Brooklands to draw alongside, braking for Club Chicane. Slightly wide moment there for Rory Mallinson, I think it was. Yes, it was, because that has allowed Jensen Swift to pop up the inside into Allard and take 8th position away from Turner. Turner, the 31-year-old from Bedfordshire, who's hoping to compete in the Track Day Trophy this year. See Callum Neve and Rory Mallinson still going absolutely hammer and tongs just at the front of picture for 6th and 7th. And some swapping further back as well, as Andrew Cooper has dispatched of Mark Crawford and made his way into the top 10. So Andrew Cooper, Formula V racer since 2016. But now we watch the battle once again between Mallinson and Neve. Well, actually, let's go back to the podium battle as Dave Martin has retaken that position, but for second it's Jackson Carden with the run out of Church. Now, has he outbraked himself for the Club Chicane? No, he has not. Jackson Carden has made his way through into second position. So dispatching of Paul Forsyth there, who looks like he's going to go slightly further backwards with Dave Martin on the inside. And so Paul Forsyth, the North Irish Rotax racer and hill climber, starting to go backwards, was running in second for most of this race, but as we approach the half race distance, he's now fallen off the podium and looks like he's going to be under further pressure from Shay Brennan as well. Meanwhile, Trafford King has built a 6.8 second lead while these guys have been squabbling. We look back from Paul Forsyth in fourth position. Shay Brennan hot on the heels of Forsyth's car, looking towards the inside as they run up Village and towards Church Bend. Surely there'll be no look on the inside through there, but trying to maintain the momentum and stay in the slipstream as they head back up, hit the hill through Brooklands. Dave Martin not giving up on second position either. They run very, very close. Carden feels the need to go defensive into the Club Chicane, hopping and skipping over the curbs, and that was a slightly awkward line there for Jackson Carden. That could give Paul Forsyth. Well, Paul Forsyth is going to take 2 in 1 here on the way into Ella. Fantastic stuff. Shay Brennan also trying to pick up the scraps there as well. They made up 2 places in 1 as well. Oh, round goes Forsyth, having just taken second position away, and that should promote Shay Brennan, who's going to come out on top on the way into Campbell. It's Shay Brennan ahead of Jackson Carden, ahead of Dave Martin. So we had a 4-car battle. It was almost inevitable that one was going to drop it in the end. And here again, we see the beauty of Thruxton, that swap and ducking under, swapping over racing that we get to see as Shea Brennan gets nailed around the outside by Jackson Carden there, who retakes second position. 3 cars, you could absolutely throw a blanket over them in this battle for second position. Back around Church Brennan. Shea Brennan really darts to the inside, slides on the exit though. Still tucking into that slipstream, but Dave Martin fancies the podium position back again. He's on the inside going into the club chicane. Is he going to make it 2 in 1 there? Because it looked like he drew a bit of an overlap with Jackson Carden's car. No, not quite. So Carden able to hang on to second position just about, but these guys nearly 10 seconds back now from the race leader. Looks like that's Adam Woodvine there. That's not the race leader, Trafford King in the blue car at the head of this queue. That is lapped traffic, and that could put the cat amongst the pigeons now. Right, so who have we got here? Jensen Swift, Andrew Cooper, and Ryan Turner. Scrapping over 9th, 10th and 11th. Back with the podium battle. Sorry, my apologies. It wasn't Adam Woodvine. It was Jackson Carden who was at the head of that queue. Confused myself slightly there. 4.5 minutes left on the clock, and Carden's trying to pull away now from the battle behind him. But, well, going to take a little bit more than that to try and keep Dave Martin off the second step of the podium. So out of the chicane once again. 4 minutes left on the clock. Shea Brennan still trying to find their way onto the podium as well in race 1, which has provided to be an absolute thriller. Did you see how far to the left Jackson Carden was? I thought for a moment they were going to end up getting some grass there, trying desperately to open up Campbell as much as possible. Jensen Swift and Ryan Turner still squabbling over the last spot inside the top 10. Swift goes a little bit wide, runs side by side through Cobb, and it is Swift who comes out the worst of that, although a little bit of grass there for Turner. It's not what you need when you're heading up to a high-speed left-hander at Noble, and Swift fancies going right around the outside. Looked like they leaned on each other ever so slightly, and now with the inside line going into Goodwood, Jensen Swift is able to retake that position, and Turner just slots in behind. But there really isn't much between them at all. Right, battle for second position, and Dave Martin has taken second position away from Jackson Carden. Looks like he tried to do that around the outside of Club, but Shea Brennan with a cleaner run manages to take third position away from Jackson Carden. Will they be able to take second away from Dave Martin as well? Round the outside of Allard, less than 3 minutes to go in this race, and Shea Brennan is back into second position. Braking once again for Campbell, and you see Carden again taking that very wide entry line, all the curb on the right-hand side there as well, in their bid to try and reclaim third position from Dave Martin. So Dave Martin, it was 1 up and 1 down in the end. Oh, round has gone Callum Neve, so his battle with Rory Mallinson has come to a premature end. But here comes Jackson Carden trying to retake third position on the inside of Dave Martin round Goodwood. This would be very brave stuff indeed as they head round the kink of Village, and they're going to be side by side surely going into Church Bend with Jackson Carden in the blue car on the inside. Breathe in, everybody, as we try to get round here in one piece, and they've managed to do so. And Carden does now have third position away from Dave Martin. This has been absolutely fantastic racing between these 3 cars throughout this entire race. And it looks like we are going to squeeze 2 more laps of this out of the first race of the night for round 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. It's the Clio Sport Championship being represented here tonight in the Clio 197, and it is providing an absolute thriller here for second position, with Brennan really under pressure for second position. Carden managed to draw an overlap through Campbell. Brennan still with the advantage going through Cobb, but runs out a little bit wide. That usually gives momentum to the car with the better exit, which was Jackson Carden. And so as they head up towards Noble, Carden's on the outside line. We saw Brennan do this move a few laps ago, and now the advantage will be Carden's as he gets the inside line for Goodwood. But Shea Brennan is not leaving him much space at all on the inside. And that is now Jackson Carden back up into second position. Dave Martin fancies a run at this as well on the inside through Village. And as they head up towards Church Bend, he almost fancied a run at Jackson Carden there as well. So can Brennan retaliate going into the chicane? We're about to find out. Surely Martin's going to be thinking about a lunge on the inside. He's also got to think about Shea Brennan on the outside as well. Amazingly, they come out of the chicane in the same order they went into it. But we are now going to be starting the final lap of the race. Only 5 seconds left on the clock. Trafford King is way up the road, by the way, in case you've forgotten about him. 16 seconds to the good, and Carden might have just pulled a couple of car lengths there, which could be crucial on this final lap of the race. Now they close up immediately, once again braking for Campbell. Let's see how close they are as they come out of Seagrave and onto the business end of the lap, the proper high-speed stuff. Looking fairly equidistant now. This might have just settled down enough on this final lap of the race. You'd say for a podium position, Jackson Carden is looking in the best position here, being second at the moment. Here's our race leader, by the way. We've forgotten about him in all of the incredible racing we've been seeing further down the order. But he is going to take a massive chunk out of Jake Hewlett's championship lead. It is technical dramas for his championship rival, but it is victory for the first time this season for the reigning champion, Trafford King, who power slides in celebration through Allard. And for second position, it's not over yet, because Dave Martin is going to be pushing Jackson Carden up towards the timing line. But it should be Jackson Carden in second position, with Dave Martin once again finishing on the podium. Shea Brennan just missing out in fourth position there. But what an absolutely titanic scrap in round 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. Incredible stuff. Rory Mallinson comes home in 5th position, with Paul Forsyth in 6th after battling for that podium finish earlier in the race. Andrew Cooper in 7th in the end. Mark Crawford, Jensen Swift and Ryan Turner, the top 10. Here comes Callum Neve in 12th position. But wow, what a start to proceedings. An absolutely dominant win from Trafford King, looking much like how it did in season 1 of the Winter Sim series. So it is Trafford King, the victor. Jackson Carden on the podium for the first time since the second meeting of the season, the Carmel Porsche Trophy at Alton Park, and that is his 4th podium finish of the season, in addition to 2 he scored in the 5 Club Racing X5 Club at Anglesey, the first meeting of the season. For Dave Martin, podium number 6, and a 4th consecutive podium as well. So great stuff from Dave Martin, who continues to rack up those podium finishes as we wait for race number 2 to get underway. And the beauty of it, of course, is the grid's going to look exactly the same as it did for race number 1. And so Trafford King will hope to do what he did in race 1 and just absolutely pull away from the rest of the field. But hopefully battle resumes between Shea Brennan, Jackson Carden and Dave Martin, and maybe it's another opportunity as well for Paul Forsyth to get in there as well. He certainly had the ability to mix it in there with those runners for the podium battle, but that spin at Allard just costing him in the end there. So hopefully be able to keep it together for the next one. But for Trafford King, of course, that's victory number 1, podium number 9 of the season in the 10 races we've run so far. It's only the first meeting of the very first race of the season, in fact, that Trafford King has not finished on the podium on after a pretty tumultuous start with contact in the early stages of the race that very much set his title defense to be a challenge, but he's been given a free ride here tonight with Jake Hewlett seemingly unable to take part, and there is no I was about to say there's no sign of him joining for race 2, but he is in the server for race number 2. So whatever those technical gremlins with his PC were, he is going to be starting race 2 from 14th on the grid, of course, as he missed qualifying. So now suddenly we have got a really, really interesting fight on our hands, because Trafford King hasn't quite taken the championship lead just yet. He's taken 20 points out of the 24-point lead. There's every chance that Jake Hewlett could still be leading the championship going into round 5 next week. But of course, he's got an awful lot of work to do from 14th on the grid for 2 races. Don't forget, he is going to be in that danger zone. But of course, we know just how quick Jake Hewlett is. He has been unbeatable so far in this season, and I wonder how long it will take for him to get up to the front of the field. Certainly, we will keep our eyes on Jake Hewlett at the start of race number 2, which should be getting underway fairly shortly. But of course, that is good news for the championship, keeping things interesting to have Jake Hewlett. So it will be top 2 in the championship starting on either end of the grid as we get underway for race number 2, and it'll be Trafford King again who leads them from pole position. Paul Forsyth taking back his front row start for the start of race number 2. So Trafford King leads into Allard, but it's side by side with Dave Martin trying to draw alongside Jackson Carden, trying to find his way through there as well, but it's still Forsyth in second just about. But Dave Martin should have the inside line going into Campbell. It doesn't do him too many favors, as again Rory Mallinson has a lightning start, gets himself up into 4th position. We saw him do this in the first race as well, and it looks like Jackson Carden's really been shuffled back, because Shea Brennan has also found their way through as well on the inside at Seagrave, and so that's shuffled Jackson Carden back down to 6th, trying to regain one of those spots around the outside of Noble for the first time of asking. But he's also got to be very careful for Callum Neve, who is right underneath his rear wing as well. But we're looking from the back of Rory Mallinson here at Shea Brennan, heading towards Church for the first time. Love listening to that as they head through fastest corner in the UK, and that looked like a little bit of grass there for Rory Mallinson that could give Shea Brennan enough of a run. Dave Martin also challenging for 2nd position going into the chicane as well, but Shea Brennan right round the outside. Here's Jake Hewlett at the back of the field, so hasn't really made any forward progress. He's up 1 spot, one car bouncing off the tyre barriers there, and this is what we talked about with the danger zone there. Could very easily have been caught up in all of that and had damage on his car. It's shuffled around a little bit at the front of the field since then. So Shea Brennan up to 3rd position. So has dispatched of Dave Martin as well. Still under pressure from the race 1 podium finisher, but Paul Forsyth, the next car up the road. Jackson Carden right at the back of them. So seconds out round 2 between these 3 cars. The difference is it's now for 3rd position with Paul Forsyth just in front of them. Dave Martin around the outside of Noble, and we'll have the inside line into Goodwood as well. So this could be 3rd position for Dave Martin. Jackson Carden bullying his way through as well on the inside of Shea Brennan. and there wasn't an awful lot of track space there for Brennan to place the car. Very nearly ended up on the grass there, but their line astern going through. Oh no, a shove into the back of Dave Martin by Jackson Carden. Martin manages to gather the car up fantastically. He's got no momentum down the front straight, but is still in this race. He's lost out to Shea Brennan, to Carden, to Callum Neve as well. He's down in 6th position. I wonder if the stewards are going to end up taking a look at that one, but that was a incredible save from Dave Martin. Side by side, once again, with Jackson Carden against Shea Brennan for 3rd position. It was Carden in the blue car on the inside of Allard. Can't maintain the overlap going through the left-hander towards Campbell. And they emerge in the same position. Oh, defying gravity there is Alex Stockton in the white car. And that looked like it was against Jake Hewlett. So Jake Hewlett has had the one thing he didn't need in this race, and that is contact. That's going to massively hamper his progress. He's already 17 seconds off the lead. Once again, side by side for 3rd position with Carden, nearly running out of road around Noble and towards Goodwood. But again, brilliant racing between these two, and anybody competing in the Swift Sport Challenge for next season knows just how good of a wheel-to-wheel racer Shea Brennan is going to be. The youngster, the 16-year-old, who's showing an awful lot more experience than age would suggest. All right, Callum Neve and Rory Mallinson. Oh, they're hammering and tongsing once again, but they've got Mark Crawford just in front of them in 6th position. And whoa, hop, skip and a jump over the curb for Mark Crawford there. Could give Rory Mallinson the run. Yes, it does, as he looks towards the inside at Allard. And they'll go side by side there, and that should now be 6th position for Mallinson. Just about chops the nose. Ooh, very nearly chopped the nose there. Callum Neve at Ryan Turner waiting in the wings there as well. I say that. Turner on the inside of Neve now. So that's 8th position for Turner going into Campbell. And Turner fancied making it 6th position as well. Callum Neve comes back as a result of that little skirmish over the curbing there. Retakes that 7th spot. Now wants to go for 6th as well around the outside of Mallinson. And now on the inside into Goodwood. That's been a very popular overtaking place so far this evening. Oh, big swapper for Crawford, who ends up dropping another place there to Ryan Turner. Could lose one to Jensen Swift as well. Wants to get that done before they get to church, and he did so. This is Jackson Carden and Shea Brennan once again going side by side for 3rd position, with Carden on the inside, but Shea Brennan chops the nose of the blue car, and Dave Martin is slowly but surely getting back into this one. That was Paul Forsyth going very, very wide on the exit of the chicane. Shea Brennan squeezes Jackson Carden over to the pit wall. Now pretty much 3 abreast through Allard. Fantastic stuff as Dave Martin throws his hat back into the ring and gets on the inside of Jackson Carden going into Campbell, and that's now 4th position for Dave Martin, as Jake Hewlett in 11th position does the fastest lap of the race, and he needs to. He's 18 seconds off race leader Trafford King, who's 3.5 seconds to the good up at the front of the field. We're only 6 minutes into this race as Carden tries to come back round the outside at Noble for that 4th place on Dave Martin, and fancies run at Shea Brennan there as well. There was just a Clio-sized hole there, and they did rub panels and had to get the foot down to try and gather up the back end. And that allows Dave Martin back through. That's the beauty of front-wheel drive. You start losing the back end, you absolutely plant the right foot. Right, swapping and changing more times than we can count, and these three have just put on an absolutely epic display all night long so far, as Martin once again to the outside of the club chicane going for 3rd position. Shea Brennan hops over the curbing and just hangs on to the spot, and actually managed to gain quite a bit of ground there because Dave Martin seemed to get it all wrong, and as soon as he does, Jackson Carden is ready to pounce. So Carden back up into 4th position. Here's Jake Hewlett, championship leader, getting into the top 10 now, getting past Ryan Turner into Allard. has that fastest lap of the race. Don't forget, he needs to utilise that pace and minimise the damage. As it stands, Trafford King would be taking the lead of the championship. And he's not pulling away in quite the same manner he managed to. I mean, I know they're squabbling less because Paul Forsyth isn't involved in this battle for the podium. So round Goodwood once again, and I don't want to take my eyes off this battle for a single second. Shea Brennan, the 16-year-old who'll be competing in the Swift Sport Challenge. Jackson Carden, who has provided so much entertainment for us in the Sim Series. And Dave Martin, multiple podium finisher. The 34-year-old Liverpudlian on the attack, the former MR2 racer, former low-cost racer as well, and now in the Mazda 7s as well, planning a second year of low-cost older sibling series for this year. Spin for Rory Mallinson at the chicane. It's good news for Jake Hewlett as he's up another spot into 9th position now, and looks like he's about to make it 8th against Andrew Cooper here, one of the directors of the 750 Motor Club. Didn't quite manage to do it into Campbell, but when it comes to Jake Hewlett, it's surely a matter of when rather than if. And I'm staggered by the ability of drivers, and in those hot-headed situations he's come in frustrated, and he's been in an absolute rush as well because his PC wasn't starting. Remember, didn't compete in qualifying, didn't take part in race 1 because his PC wasn't starting, and then he's just had to get straight into it, no warm-up at all. But he has drawn that overlap now on Andrew Cooper, and will be ahead when they get towards Church Bend. He's going to have to take the slightly narrower line through there, but running it perfectly out onto the curbing. We rejoin the battle for 3rd position. One of these drivers is going to come out very disappointed to not be on the podium, and the momentum is with Dave Martin, who's on the inside into Allard and trying to take that 3rd position away from them. He'll have to brave it out around the outside a little bit, but the inside line under braking will be theirs for Campbell. But Shea Brennan braving it out around the outside. Carden's got the clean momentum, and a little bit of a rub there between Brennan and Martin. That allows Carden to go around the outside of 1 and 2 and takes both of them on the exit of Seagrave. And while Shea Brennan and Dave Martin were busy exchanging paint, oh, that's not another incident for Jake Hewlett there. It is, my goodness. So we saw he was trying to get around Andrew Cooper, but looks like that might have been contact with Callum Neve on that particular occasion. So, wow, Jake Hewlett, it's up and down, it's yo-yoing all around and sideways there. Shea Brennan on the exit of Church Bend, and that's not Paul Forsyth they're catching up to there, is it? It's a 5-second gap. That is a back marker who might be causing a little bit of commotion for these 3 cars, who are now absolutely nose to tail. Shea Brennan pops out of the rear wing of Jackson Carden's car. No way through into Allard, but really filling the mirrors for Jackson Carden at the moment. Shea Brennan to the inside at Campbell, but no way through. Doesn't seem to be working all that well, does the inside line for Campbell today. So they emerge out of the complex in the same order they entered it, and that's probably the first time in this entire race they've gone through a corner and haven't swapped positions. That's Dave Martin with momentum now, trying to get around the outside at Noble. Well, didn't quite manage to stay alongside, and so has to follow in Shea Brennan's wheel tracks for another few corners. Meanwhile, that's allowing Jackson Carden just to pull a couple of car lengths between the pair of them. But the slipstream surely now is going to bring them both right back into it. Whoa, both really sliding on the ragged edge through Church Bend. This is Jensen Swift and Andrew Cooper absolutely nose to tail for 6th position as Trafford King does yet another fastest lap of the race. See Jensen Swift running a little bit wide there into the chicane. That should give Andrew Cooper a clean run here, both in the white cars, but it's Andrew Cooper on the outside line and now ahead of Jensen Swift. But Swift, I think, will be fighting back on the inside into Allard. And although he was wrestling with the car a little bit, wasn't quite able to reclaim that position. So it's Andrew Cooper up to 6th, Jensen Swift demoted to 7th position as we've got a little over 2 minutes left on the clock. Here's Ryan Turner with Mark Crawford for close company, Ryan Mallinson and Rory Mallinson, I should say, and Jake Hewlett rounding up that lap traffic as well. So Jake Hewlett might just be able to squeeze inside the top 10, but this is very much a damage limitation race for Jake Hewlett. Right, battle for 3rd position comes out of church for what could be the penultimate time. We'll see when they get over the timing line. And although Jackson Carden was trying to pull away, he's not able to escape the grasp of Shea Brennan and Dave Martin. That slipstream seemingly keeping them into play. Awful lot of curb and a little bit more for Shea Brennan, and that might have just compromised the exit a little bit there, because again it's Carden pulling away a little bit and Dave Martin challenging, mounting the pressure now once again around the outside at Allard and trying to find the inside line, but contact in the braking zone. Round goes Dave Martin. Doesn't look like he's going to lose too much in terms of position, but certainly lost an awful lot of ground there, and that might have just been a little too argy-bargy from Shea Brennan there, but we'll see if the stewards make anything of that. And Jake Hewlett, well, certainly might squeeze into the top 10. He's up to 8th. So he's made up 3 places since we last checked in with him, what felt like less than a minute ago. So busy few corners there for the championship leader, and crucially gaining just a few more points to limit the damage. But as it stands, Trafford King will still be taking the championship lead when he meets the checkered flag, which I think is going to be next lap round. He's going to meet the checkered flag just a little bit too early. 25 seconds left on the clock as he makes his way down the start and finish straight. So final lap of the race being started now for Trafford King. 7.5 seconds his advantage, and it looks like Paul Forsyth is going to be on course for a first podium finish. Of course, first season in the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Series. Battle for 3rd position has very much cooled off as well, with 1.4 seconds between Jackson Carden and Shea Brennan. And of course, Dave Martin recovering from that spin. Still in 5th position, but 4 seconds back from Shea Brennan now. So it's going to be a maiden podium finish for Paul Forsyth. He was competing in the Caterham Racing Sim Championship at the end of last year. Finished 8th in the standings there. It's the former Northern Ireland's Sevens racer. But it is going to be the reigning champion and former Type R Trophy novice champion, Trafford King, who's going to be making it back-to-back victories, doing everything he can to close up on Jake Hewlett's lead in the championship, and he now takes the championship lead with victory in race 2 of round 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Series Sim Championship, powered by AWS, and another fantastic power slide through Allard. Paul Forsyth takes his first podium in the series. Jackson Carden once again makes it a podium finish. It's 3rd for Carden after his 2nd place finish earlier on. Shea Brennan 4th across the line with Dave Martin in 5th. Oh, late dramas there with the car going off the road. That was Jake Hewlett. What on earth happened there? Well, it's still going to be 8th position for Jake Hewlett. I wonder if he was trying to get around Mark Crawford on the final lap of the race there, but Jake Hewlett, for the first time this season, not leading the championship. But certainly a damage limitation race there. Last few cars coming across the line. It's Alex Stockton just rounding up Seymour Fiat there, but wow, another absolutely cracking race with a second victory for Trafford King, a first podium finish for Paul Forsyth and Jackson Carden, once again coming out on top in another absolutely sensational battle for what was in this race the last spot on the podium. So dramas up and down the field. We have one more 15-minute race to close out round 4 of the championship. And once again, it will be Trafford King and Jake Hewlett, the top 2 in the championship, who will start at either end of the grid, or at least top 2 in the championship going into this weekend. There's a chance that Dave Martin, maybe Shea Brennan and Jackson Carden might have just jumped Jake Hewlett as a result of that. Oh, I'd have to get the abacus out for that one, but it's certainly a less than ideal day for the pre-event championship leader. A PC that wouldn't start, that caused him to miss qualifying and race 1. Had to start at the back and just try and get as good a result as possible. So we wait for the third and final race of the night, and just checking in with what some of the drivers are saying in the Discord, because they are certainly very much enjoying the wheel-to-wheel action that has been had, particularly Shea Brennan, Jackson Carden, and Dave Martin as well, that have been the absolute highlight of tonight's racing. And certainly the championship is going to be looking very different by the end of tonight, but we have one more race to go, so I'll just run you through the final order for race number 2. It was Trafford King with his second victory of the season. Another dominant performance from the reigning champion, with Paul Forsyth picking up his first podium finish in the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder, with Jackson Carden making it a second podium of the night after finishing second in race 1. Shea Brennan fourth once again, just missing out on the podium, with Dave Martin fifth after that late contact with Shea Brennan. Jensen Swift in 6th position, Mark Crawford in 7th, Jake Hewlett from 14th via quite a few trials and tribulations, up to 8th in the end, with Rory Mallinson in 9th. Callum Neve completing the top 10, with Andrew Cooper, Rory Turner, Alex Stockton, and Adam Woodbine completing the order. Worth reminding you as well what these drivers are fighting for. I've mentioned VRS in the name of the championship, and the Sim Racing School has not only offered title sponsorship of the series, but they are also providing the prizes for this season. And for the champion, it will be a Pro Formula steering wheel, and for the second and third place drivers, a light steering wheels as well. And for those outside of the top 3, there'll be random draws for 3 annual subscriptions for the VRS competitive plan. That's worth $120 each, as well as 3 annual subscriptions to Team VRS group coaching. That's valued at $100 each, to further develop the skills of our sim racers and help them get faster. So a reminder as well that 750 Motor Club Series will be coming to Thruxton later in the year. The first weekend of May, we have the 116 Sprint and the 116 Trophy. As well, on the first weekend of July, the 750 Formula and the BMW Car Club Racing Championship as well. In fact, 750 Motor Club going back to Thruxton for the first time in since 2017, last year. A very welcome return to the UK's fastest circuit for the 750 Motor Club, and it's great to see that we'll have a few series still racing there for 2025. And as well, if you're interested in finding out more about the Clio Sport Championship as well, 750mc.co.uk. Of course, the 182 model as well also competes in that championship. Excellent value for money. Front-wheel drive, tin top racing. And if you think it's been good here, then, well, wait till you see the real-life championship as well. It's been absolutely marvelous throughout the year. Just a reminder again as well, registration for 750 Motor Club memberships or entries, I should say, opens on the 27th of January. And specific race entries opens on the 10th of February. So again, go to 750mc.co.uk to find out more about that, as well as the various test days that are available throughout the year and the pre-season track day at Donington Park, which will be on the 9th of March. And there will be scrutineers and 750 Motor Club members of staff on site to answer any of your pre-season queries as well. And a reminder as well that entrance for Formula V, F1000, Type R Trophy, the Mighty Minis, and the Swiss Sport Challenge as well. Just double check the calendar for 2025. There have been some minor revisions since we came back from the Christmas break. Talked about some of the various changes that have been happening to some of the series for the 750 Motor Club in 2025. One of them is the Sports Specials Championship, one of the ultimate lightweight British sports car racing championships with the best performance per pound. And so changes there include Class A now permitting front-engined motorbike powered cars underneath 1,000 cc's with a maximum weight allowing for various Lotus Elise models. But for now, let's head back to the virtual world and the final race of the night in round 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. Trafford King once again gets away very well, with Dave Martin trying to challenge Paul Forsyth for second place a little bit earlier than he has in the previous 2 starts, as he gets on the inside of Allard and takes second place straight away from Paul Forsyth, who took his first podium in the previous race just now. Again, they run side by side. Going into Campbell, very neat and tidy. Again, Rory Mallinson, man on a move in the early stages of the race. That's his 3rd great start of the night. Oh, big contact in the middle of the pack, though. And that is Mark Crawford, who's got it all wrong through the complex and hopefully hasn't taken too many others with him as well. But look at Dave Martin right on the wheel tracks of Trafford King. This is the closest it's been for the lead all day long, and he's sticking right with the new championship leader. Meanwhile, Paul Forsyth in 3rd position, Shea Brennan in 4th, and Jackson Carden 5th. So those 4 cars that have been squabbling for the podium in the previous 2 races are still right together. Rory Mallinson is sticking on the back of them as well after another strong start, but maybe suddenly Trafford King is going to have to start thinking about defending for the lead. This is the best start that Dave Martin has made all night long. Now, does he have the raw pace to stick with the reigning champion? That is the question. But at the end of the first lap, the gap over the line, 0.4 of a second. It's 1 second covering the top 3 cars, with Paul Forsyth just hanging on in 3rd position. Shea Brennan and Jackson Carden right in there as well. Jake Hewlett up to 8th position already, and at the back of this queue of cars. And so it's Callum Neve who's just in front of him. Andrew Cooper and Jensen Swift battling slightly further back into the complex, but yeah, a bit more squabbling going on as well, with Alex Stockton trying to get underneath Ryan Turner. Yeah, not the cleanest of runs there. It's Jake Hewlett up into 7th position now, trying to dispatch of Callum Neve. Oh, Jackson Carden on the inside of Shea Brennan as well. Going through Goodwood and Village, but has to file back into the order. Going into Church. And so as they make their way back up the hill at Brooklands, and Carden pushing Shea Brennan in the braking zone there. But look at the top 3 right together, with Paul Forsyth right in there as well. Oh, contact for Jackson Carden against the tyre stacks and they're a lot firmer than they look, and that has really compromised him. Through on the inside goes Rory Mallinson and Jake Hewlett as well, who's done the fastest lap of the race. Hewlett on the inside of Mallinson there and up into 5th position. Now, do not discount Jake Hewlett here in this race. The gap to the cars in front of him is about 2.5 seconds or so, but if they're going to start squabbling, then Jake Hewlett is not out of this one, at the very least for a podium. Dave Martin looked like he was trying to find a way through on Trafford King there in the end, but didn't quite get the exit out of Seagrave. That has given Trafford King just a little bit of reprieve. He's pulled a few car lengths as they went through Noble. But still, Dave Martin very much in a position to put pressure on the man who's dominated proceedings so far tonight. Oh, as I say that, Dave Martin, a little bit of a mistake, and that is just not the kind of thing you can afford to make when you're racing someone like Trafford King. And that little error there has cost him quite a bit of momentum in the exit of Church as they made their way back up towards Club. Still, Swift and Cooper are swapping positions further back. The leaders making their way over the timing line, and Trafford King taking the fastest lap of the race back on that previous lap, as we saw Hewlett was trying to make up positions at only 5 seconds, covering the top 5 as it stands. Shea Brennan at the back of this queue of cars. Jake Hewlett trying to close the gap. 2.7 seconds is the deficit. It hasn't really changed since Hewlett managed to get himself up into 5th position, which is somewhat surprising, I would say. Shea Brennan at risk of finishing 4th for 3 consecutive races here tonight. Oh, little mistake there for Paul Forsyth. Just seemed to wander off the road there a little bit. So that has brought Shea Brennan right onto the back bumper of Paul Forsyth, who took his first podium in the previous race. But Brennan's fought for 2 podium finishes so far tonight, not come away with any. Well, maybe now this is the time. Oh, they bang wheels a little bit going through Brooklands and towards the chicane, and Forsyth has to run on just a little bit, and that's Shea Brennan up into 3rd as Carden tries to Jake Hewlett, that is, sorry, in the blue car, really has now brought down the gap thanks to that squabbling. 1/3 of the way through this race already, and Hewlett's done the fastest lap. He's now 5 seconds back from the race lead, but only 0.6 of a second behind the car in front of him, which is now Paul Forsyth, who's been shuffled away from that podium spot by Shea Brennan. Jackson Carden on the recovery as well after that hit into the tyre stack at the chicane. And so it's Rory Mallinson, the fast-starting Rory Mallinson, who he's up against. Around Noble, not in a position to make the lunge just yet, but surely will be soaking up that slipstream around the next few corners and maybe setting up a pass into the chicane. That's that file back in through Church, but a much more direct line to the apex there. That's worked for him because he's drawn an overlap on the exit of the corner, and that was as sweet as you like from Jackson Carden. Got it done a little bit earlier than certainly I was anticipating, and that is now 6th position for the recovering Jackson Carden. Next car up the road, championship leader Jake Hewlett. Oh no, Dave Martin! Dramas for Dave Martin from 3rd position. That's brought Paul Forsyth, from 2nd position, sorry. So that's brought Paul Forsyth back up into a podium position, and Shea Brennan now up to 2nd. Shea Brennan, who hasn't finished on the podium since the very first race of the season in the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup at Anglesey. And of course that promotes Jake Hewlett up into 4th position as well now. And next car up the road still Paul Forsyth, but again 3 cars squabbling for 2nd position. This time it's Shea Brennan, Paul Forsyth, and championship leader going into this meeting, but not into this race, Jake Hewlett. And wouldn't it be sweet for him to come away with a podium finish after so many issues throughout the night? We're coming up to half race distance. In fact, we've just passed half race distance, and he is really troubling the back of Forsyth's car going into Church. And Forsyth running just a little bit wide. He ends up on the grass off to Emerald City. Where's he gone? Well, he's come back on the road, but crucially behind Jake Hewlett, who's now up into a podium position from the back of the grid. And this is going to be the biggest test of Shea Brennan now, who desperately wants to come away with a podium finish, having fought so hard for one all night long. They can afford to lose this spot to Hewlett and still hang on to the podium. But let's see how long Brennan can keep Hewlett at bay. 4.5 seconds is Trafford King's advantage, meanwhile, out at the front of the field. This squabbling has once again helped our new championship leader to build a nice advantage. Got slow-moving Mark Crawford up at the rear of the field. Alex Stockton just in front of him. Oh, that's definitely not the right way to take the chicane. But Jake Hewlett still following in the wheel tracks of Shea Brennan. And I talked about how I'm so impressed when drivers have to just absolutely switch on from disastrous circumstances and just get on with the job. And that is exactly the kind of thing we've come to expect from Jake Hewlett, because he's not only a fantastic real world racer, but he is probably one of the best sim racers as a member of the Coanda SimSport team since 2017, and has taken multiple esports titles and had various World Series participations. That's really mounting the pressure on Shea Brennan. Tried to make the move into the chicane, but Brennan was wise to it. Because, yeah, it's not just the various esports accolades that Jake Hewlett has managed to secure in his first season of racing in the real world. In the Tequila Type R Trophy back in 2022, he was champion. Also competed in a brick car, in a Clio Cup car, in fact, so he'll be very familiar with this machine. And has been rather dominant in various 750 Motor Club Sim Series events since joining them at the tail end of last season. Tries around the outside at Noble now for second position, does Jake Hewlett. He's really having to get his elbows out, and this defense from Shea Brennan, absolutely superb at the moment. So again, showing the outside line. Surely they won't go side by side through Church Corner. Hewlett makes sure there's the merest little gap. Oh, ends up on the grass though, going around Church Corner. Manages to survive and rejoin the track without losing all too much, but there's definitely quite a bigger gap between himself and second place now. Entering the last 5 minutes of tonight's action. Around the chicane. Paul Forsyth still hanging on there in fourth position. Another fastest lap of the race from Trafford King, while Jake Hewlett has been mired in this battle for second. Heading back down towards Campbell once again, and still it is Brennan leading Hewlett. This has been the biggest challenge for Jake Hewlett in his title campaign so far this season. Probably not how he would have wanted to kick off things in 2025. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come throughout the season. But you see how big the gap was when they went through Church last time around, and it's now completely non-existent in half a lap. Absolutely superb. So we're back in the same position we were in pretty much a lap ago as they round Village and head back towards Church Corner. Well, this could just be the last lap on repeat. It's a carbon copy, but this time Hewlett's wise to the maneuvers and manages to draw the overlap on the exit of the corner. And if he hangs it out there, he will have the inside line going into the chicane. This could now finally be Jake Hewlett's second place, but Brennan tries to brave it out around the outside, but can't compete with the pre-event championship leader. Having to round up traffic though on the exit of the corner, and that was a little bit more awkward than I'm sure they would have liked it to be. Brennan's the one with the momentum and could take second place back on the inside at Allard. They rub wheels once again, and there's contact between them as Brennan chopped across the nose and takes with them Jake Hewlett as well. Paul Forsyth back up into second position. Jackson Carden goes through as well. That was really, really unnecessary. So Shea Brennan emerges in, what is that, 5th position? Maybe now 6th as Dave Martin went through, and Rory Mallinson trying to find his way around the outside there as well. So Hewlett's lost out on the podium. Down to 4th position now, and only 2 minutes left on the clock to try and recover those positions. Same for Shea Brennan, though, but I fear that was somewhat self-induced. For all the brilliant moves and brilliant defending and brilliant racecraft Brennan has shown tonight, there have been just 1 or 2 slightly edgier moments, and that certainly was one of them. A lunge back on the inside here to try and retake 6th from Rory Mallinson. That was a successful maneuver. There'll be 2 laps to go for them when they get over the timing line. Jackson Carden into pit lane. What's that about? Well, it's hardly going to be short-fueled. So, interesting. That's really quite bizarre. I'd love to get some answers about that. I can only assume that it might be some sort of equipment failure for Jackson Carden, which it wouldn't be the first time. We saw him persevering through a sticky brake pedal in Alton Park, but of course that has promoted Jake Hewlett back up to the podium. And for Paul Forsyth, it's about to be a second consecutive podium finish. See Andrew Cooper taking 7th position away from Callum Neve. Clock's about to hit 0. Here is Trafford King. Again, forgot he was in this race. 11 seconds to the good against Paul Forsyth. I've just been told that Jackson Carden blew his engine, which is quite an astonishing feat, to be honest. Not sure how he managed to do that. Well, that's certainly unfortunate for Jackson Carden. A rather wonderful night of racing for young Carden has come to a slightly premature and slightly bitter end, sadly. But for Trafford King, it's like we're back in season 1 of the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, where it's just Trafford King out front and taking win after win after win. Fate has intervened ever so slightly in this one, but it is going to be the triple for Trafford King, and he absolutely dominates round 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder, with yet another victory and yet another beautiful power slide through Allard to celebrate it as well. Paul Forsyth will take back-to-back podium finishes with another 2nd place score, and Jake Hewlett recovers from 14th on the grid to the podium, with Dave Martin just missing out there in 4th. Shea Brennan comes across the line in 5th. Sadly, once again, misses out on a podium finish, with Rory Mallinson in 6th. Andrew Cooper across the line there in 7th. Callum Neve in 8th. Jensen Swift will come across the line in 9th position, with Rory Turner completing the top 10. Alex Stockton there might be the last car across the line. Symbol VR should be in 13th position there. We had a second DNF in the end there. Just missed who it was, but that brings to an end a rather fantastic and very action-packed 4th round of the championship, the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. It was Mark Crawford who was the other DNF there in that race, but it was a 3rd victory for Trafford King. Hopefully we'll hear from him shortly. Paul Forsyth making it another podium finish, with Jake Huet scraping a podium finish out of a pretty dismal day for the pre-event championship leader, but damage limitation there. So the championship looking very different when we leave Thruxton here, and as we head to the 5th round of the championship, which will be the low-cost championship at Brands Hatch Indy on the 14th of January, represented by the Caterham Academy car in Assetto Corsa, before we move on to Donington Park for the Radical Club Challenge, represented by the Radical SR3 on the 21st of January, and then the championship finale at Croft on the 1st of February for the 116 trophy, represented by the BMW 125i. Just waiting to see if we're going to get Trafford in for a quick word after a very dominant display here tonight. And so while we do, I will just remind you again that registration for entries opens on the 27th of January. Specific race entries open on the 10th of February. Head to 750mc.co.uk for the details. Various race weekend test days are available. See them on the website. Book your place for the pre-season track day at Donington Park on the 9th of March, where there will be scrutineers and 750 Motor Club staff members on site to answer any of your pre-season queries. And again, the Formula V F1000 Type R Trophy, Mighty Minis and Swiss Sport Challenge drivers, just double check the calendar for those minor calendar revisions. And so it has been a absolutely dominant day for Trafford King. Let's hear from the reigning champion now. Trafford, it felt like we were back here last season with you just walking away with victory.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has.
Yeah, it was a shame to not have Jake in that first race, really, because I think it'd have been a good one. But I just had to capitalise on it, really. Get away.
Yeah, I've got you. Well, capitalise on it. You certainly did. New championship leader going into round 5 next week. So is this going to go right down to the wire?
I think he'll be back again. He'll probably do a bit more testing, make sure everything's right this time, and then we'll have another go. But we'll see. We'll definitely have a go at it.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, this is the only front-wheel drive car that we are racing this season. So how has it been adjusting from the rear drive that we've been using in the previous races? Of course, you yourself drive a front-wheel drive car in the Type R Trophy, so you're probably used to it.
Yeah, I thought in absence of Jake there, I'd do it for Civic boys. We'd, like you say, people struggle, don't they, with front-wheel drive. It's quite difficult to pick up on a sim as well, because there's just so much. It's either understeer or back ends tailing about everywhere. But yeah, it's good. The Clio was better when we put some better tyres on it. Yeah, it was good.
And of course, you are continuing to race in the Takiba Type R Trophy for 2025. How are preparations going? What have you got lined up for the year?
We're getting there. We'll get some testing done before start. We just need to get over that line with budget first. So if anyone's out there and wants to get on board, don't feel free to drop me a message.
Have you booked your pre-season track day spot at Donington Park for the 9th of March?
I haven't yet, but we were discussing it today, so I think that'll definitely be one to go to, because we're going to Donny this year, aren't we? So
I've been telling people all night, get on the website, book that spot, 750mc.co.uk. Trafford, thank you very much for coming and having a chat with us, and congratulations on another dominant performance.
No worries, thanks a lot.
Well, big thanks once again to Trafford King, and thank you very much for watching as well. That rounds out round 4 of the 750 Motor Club VRS Winter Sim Championship, powered by Gridfinder. We'll see you in a week's time for the low-cost championship at Brands Hatch.